Hey everyone, Tracy here, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different. And in fact, over the next few weeks, I'll be rolling out a few videos that have been repurposed from my Patreon community. So I started Patreon in August of 2023 and I loved it. And I ran it for a whole year before we went overseas last year. I go overseas for 3 months every year to teach retreats. So I paused it while I was away, and while I was away I realized how much I was spreading myself thin, to be honest. I run a whole bunch of online classes. We have thousands of students signed up for those. I teach in person as well. I'm very active on social media. I have an alumni group on Facebook. And really, that's just the business side of things. I'm also a mum and wife and a grandma, and so there's a lot of family stuff also and home stuff that happens, and that is very, very important, obviously, in my life. And so I had to do some thinking about how much I could actually do. And I decided to close my Patreon, but there was so much valuable content on there, and I've had some of my patrons reach out and ask if I could repurpose the material that I had shared over that year, perhaps bundle it up into some classes. But I thought, you know what, I feel like I would rather just share here. As I mentioned, I have lots of online classes and you can check them out on my website at tracyverdugo.com, but I also like to share some content here with you all as well. So having said that, I'm about ready to head overseas again in 17 days now. My husband and I, Marco and I, will be heading off to Turkey, and I'll be teaching in Sicily and also in mainland Italy, and then also in Portugal as well. So really excited about the upcoming trip. But rather than stress out about trying to have 12 weeks worth of YouTube content, I thought it would be a fantastic idea to repurpose some of these videos from Patreon. So you will notice that I will mention my Patreon community. I might talk about dates that get you a bit confused. I might say it's Christmas time when you know very well that it's not. So I want you to just ignore any mention of dates, any mention of the Patreon community, and just watch the content and the tutorials that I'm sharing with you here. So I hope that all makes sense. This first one that I'm going to share is a tutorial using not so much a technique, but using inspiration. I gather inspiration from everywhere, and I feel like sometimes students will say to me that they can't find inspiration or they don't know where to look for it. I think once you actually start really looking around, opening your eyes, seeing the world through curious eyes, you'll see that inspiration is everywhere. And one of my favorite places to find it is when I'm watching Netflix after dinner on the couch, and I just have my phone nearby. Try not to be distracted by the phone, but have it nearby, because oftentimes I'll see a scene come up while we're watching a show, and it'll just be so beautiful in its cinematic qualities. It's almost like the director has done half of the work for you, because the lighting will be perfect, the drama will be perfect, there's a narrative there already, the composition will be great. And so I'll just grab my little phone and take a shot of the TV and then crop into it to grab the image that I want to draw, sketch, or paint. So I have lots and lots of these. I'll often, take 30 or 40 shots, especially character studies if I'm trying to practice faces or hands. And so I'll have lots and lots of these in my camera roll. I'll put them into a folder so that I'll always have some inspiration fodder to draw from. So this time I used an image from an Irish movie called The Banshees of Inisherin. It was kind of a quirky, slow, but just, I don't know, there was something about it, something mysterious and something compelling that kept us watching. So I would recommend it. If you're really like into a lot of action, it might not be your cup of tea, but for quirky characters and settings, and if you like the Irish accent, I'd say go ahead and have a watch. But this scene really struck me with the powerful kind of dappled grey horse and the woman in the yellow coat walking away down the pathway. I had no idea how I was going to approach it, and as usual I fumble my way through and I find my way as I go, except for of course when I'm on task and doing a specific class. But when I'm sketching like this in my sketchbook, trying to just figure out how I would approach something, it's very much a spontaneous and fluid process where I'm just kind of trying things out as I go. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Do you guys ever take screenshots of the TV or magazines, or where do you find your inspiration from? I'd love you to let me know in the comments below. I love to hear from you. And if you would like to be a part of a community where I'm mostly hanging out these days, anybody that watches my YouTube videos, that's subscribed here to my channel, is welcome to come over and join me in my Facebook alumni group. And I'll pop the link for that down below in the description. And also please make sure, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the channel. I try and post every week, but sometimes it's every other week. As I mentioned, I am going away for 12 weeks. We should be able to have enough content, and I'm hoping to jump in while I'm away as well, but that doesn't always happen as planned. Once you're traveling, it's actually quite hard to kind of get your head back into, well, for me anyway, because I'm not a YouTube travel person, but I'm trying to get better at it. So I will be taking along a few bits and pieces of equipment that hopefully will mean that I can do more capturing our travels while we are there, especially the retreats and the work that we do with the students at the retreats. So enjoy this video, and as I said, if you have any questions or any comments, pop them down below. I'd love to hear from you. Have a lovely week, and happy creating. Hey everyone, Tracy here, and it is time for our monthly Patreon voted tutorial. And I didn't look at the final percentages, but I know that this one was out ahead the whole way and I think the movie was Banshees of Inisherin. It's kind of like a quirky Irish movie. I'm pretty sure this is the movie it came from, but as I was telling you, I take screenshots all the time when I'm watching TV. So if something is particularly cinematic, or I love the color scheme, or the faces or the expressions, then I'll just grab my phone and just take a photo of the television while we're watching it. And I have a whole folder of those photos, and oftentimes I will sketch them, my sketchbook, practice different things, use them to practice different color palettes, that type of thing. So I was equally, I was happy that you chose this one, because obviously I took the photo because it stood out to me. But then of course, whenever you choose one, I'm like, now I have to do it in front of everybody. So it's not just like, doing it in my sketchbook alone. And so when I started to look at it, I'm like, well, how am I going to do this? Because I work in so many different ways, and I have a lot of different materials coming my way at the moment. I'm trying so many new things all the time. And overall, my biggest desire right now is to learn to simplify in my sketchbook, okay? So even though I'm not using my sketchbook for this tutorial, what I want to do is to channel an illustrator that I've been following for quite some time now. on Instagram, and her name is Daria Uleli. I'll put it in the comment in the description so that you can look her up, because she's fabulous. And I love the way that she simplifies kind of complicated scenes, and I love her looseness and her freshness. So let me just show you, just recently, a couple of weeks ago, I ordered some prints and postcards from her, and I love these. These are her postcards, and they come in sets of 3 from different series that she's done, and I love the size of them. They're actually quite a nice size, like bigger than a regular postcard, but really fun the way that she's designed them. And you can see she uses a lot of white space. She uses minimal lines to describe what it is that she's drawing, sketching, and some larger swatches of color usually. So I love to analyze other artists' work, to try and figure out, sometimes even to copy their work in my own sketchbook, in my own studio, not for social media, unless I put it on social media and actually acknowledge the person whose work I have been inspired by, but never ever like to sell or anything like that. Like for me, it's the best way to learn. Is to try and figure out what came first. Did she lay down the blue first? Or did she do the sketch first? And so sometimes the only way my brain can figure that out is to actually do a copy of somebody's work. So, that's totally legit. Artists have been doing it for hundreds, if not thousands of years. But again, like when you copy someone's work, it's purely for an educational purpose, not for you to sell anything that in any way resembles anyone else's work. So just, kind of to clear that up, because I think some people are still a little bit confused about that. And I still sometimes have people that, do copies of my work from my classes and then sell it on their website, even though it says within the class itself, it clearly states that if you are creating a work that is similar to mine or too similar, your heart will know, and those works cannot be for sale. I think there's just, still a little bit of confusion around copyright issues. So anyways, I want to be inspired by Daria to somehow translate this photo without saying too much. How am I going to do it? I don't know yet. So I really don't know. But what I've done as usual is I've kind of thought to myself, well, that whole idea about maybe a couple of swatches of color, what colors would work well together. And this is clearly like greens and yellows, mostly greens, grays, and yellows. But I want to just try something a little bit different. So I've pulled out a pale lavender in the acrylic gouache, the Holbein acrylic gouache, which I think I'm going to pull into this large area of horse. And then I've pulled out an olive green, also in the Holbein acrylic gouache. And I think I'm not sure where I'm going to put it yet, but I'm going to put it in a couple of spots. And then I have a selection of Holbein pencils, a couple of watercolor pencils, and a couple of Luminance pencils as well. And then I have some Neocolor crayons, Neocolor 2 crayons. So I'll be using those, the Caran D'ache crayons. And I might need a little bit of water, of course, maybe a brush or two. So I've just pulled the things around me that I need. I've always got my inks here. I'm probably not going to use inks today, but I will post this photo again with the video, but I'm going to pop it up in front of me right now so I can work from it. And I'm just going to put some music on and see what comes of this drawing, trying to simplify, trying to not get too overwhelmed. Like, you know, I could get really overwhelmed by the amount of rocks and things here or by this pattern back here. So I'm going to simplify it so my brain does not explode, because that is something I contend with all the time when I'm painting, is trying to keep myself in a Zen space and not get overwhelmed by all the things that are there. So I'm just looking at it right now. I'm going to put a little bit of music on that will help me just to relax and sink into the artwork. If I have something to say, I will stop the music and just chat for a minute. But other than that, I'm going to try and get into the flow. Okay, let me just take a little break from the music and just talk to you for a second. So this is what we call the messy middle, right? And it's funny, I was just watching a YouTube video this morning with Sandy Hester, who I love. I love her YouTube channel. I love the way she talks about art and the process, and just being brave and trying things and knowing that it's okay to make bad art, right? And so I've kind of gotten myself to the point now where I'm okay sharing things with you, and, you know, showing you the good, bad, and the ugly, having things not go in the direction that I thought they might go in. Especially if I'm trying something new out, then I don't really know what direction it's going to go in anyway. It's not tried and true. It's not a series that I'm working on. I'm trying to kind of put myself in somebody else's head in a way to simplify when I'm looking at Daria's drawing over there and I'm thinking, what does she do? But what came first? I can already see that I've totally, you know, put color everywhere and I haven't left any white space. And so, you know, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I should have left the path white. Maybe that would have been something to do. So, you know, I'm kind of struggling with myself. I'm struggling with, it's not what I really wanted to achieve, or it's not the look that I was looking for, or, you know, where do I go from here to try and even bring anything back, to try and get to anywhere close to what I was thinking about. So, you know, that's all the things that are going on in my head right now. I don't really like any of it. I tried to be a bit tricky here and was trying to get the speckled horse. So I thought I would sharpen my pencil and then just like tap the speckled pencil all over it. But then all the other colors came out as well. So, you know, so there's a lot here that I could just go, forget it. I'm not going to do it. Hasn't worked out the way I want it to work out. But I always like to persevere, especially if I'm videoing myself, because I want you to know that it's okay not to give up, that there are ways that you can push through. There are ways you can go beyond the messy middle, right? And even if it's not like an amazing piece of art when you finish, as long as you've learned something in the process, that's what matters, okay? I'm not that adept at drawing horses. I haven't done a lot of drawing horses. So as I was drawing, you know, I was like, oh, wow, that's really, that's how long that is, right? And I think I've got the proportions totally wrong. I think that his head should have come out further. But then, do you know what it is? What it is that this format is quite long and I'm working on a completely different rectangle. And so I was trying to like stop his head there to give her room. But the reason it's not in proportion is because this should have been a longer strip, right? So, you know, all these things you can kind of, you learn as you go. So it is good to start off with a piece of paper that is the same proportions, or at least to take that into account when you are drawing. What next? What next? I think I just want to bring some fun pencil work in. And I'm going to need to look for the dry places to do that. I mean, I could get my hairdryer out, but I think there's enough dry places that I can start to bring some pencil in. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I should do some little drawn houses off in the distance or something. I mean, I can see one house in the photo, but maybe I could just play a little bit with perspective by just pulling a couple of fun little houses off in the distance. Let's put the music back on and see where it goes. But I just wanted to stop and tell you, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it. and I'm bearing it all and putting it out there for you anyway. And we're going to see what can come and whether I can pull it back, whether I can bring something out of it, or whether maybe this is just a, a let's learn what not to do tutorial. So let's see what happens. Okay, I think I rescued it somewhat out of the ugly stage. There's still like a lot of things I'm not happy with, but it feels fresher. It feels like there's more energy in it, and that it's kind of savable now, if that makes sense. I still don't like the shape of this horse. I need to practice horses. I think it's more like this. I'm not sure. But yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. It's not like gonna go in the rubbish bin. I can work with it and I can learn from it. So that's the main thing, right? So you notice that I brought that addition of the white ink in, and white acrylic ink can be a savior. It can be just such a helpful thing to just bring back some of the light. You know, I was saying before that I had lost a lot of the white space that I wanted to keep. And so I was able to bring some back into the pathway, maybe across the top here of some of the rocks. So, you know, if you have gone too far and if you've lost a lot of the white, then you are able to bring it back. So that's, you know, what I'm doing by degrees here. And so, you know, use a light touch because it is easy to go overboard with it. And a little bit of ink goes a long way. I say that all the time. But, you know, you can see a little bit of ink and then just a brush that you've taken most of the water off and just push that white around in places to bring back a little bit of the white space. Here I'm going over the purple, and so it's making like a bit of a mixed lavender color. If you've got too much, then just wipe it off. Have your paper towel near you all the time, and you can just kind of bring back the light by degrees. You know, I can bring it back into the horse as well. So there's a lot of push and pull going on here. There's a lot of, you know, okay, what am I not happy with? Well, I lost the white, so how can I bring the white back? And that's what I'm doing, little bit by little bit, just kind of assessing as I go where it needs to be. And because I am working in this nice loose style, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? It's just, you know, just bringing back the feeling of lightness. Now I might even like bring a little bit of light into here. Maybe maybe some flowers here in the foreground. Or maybe something will come over those. I'm not sure yet, but let's just see what happens. But just, yeah, bringing back little bits of light that have been lost. I can always let them dry, and I can always bring more crayon marks or pencil marks over the top. And you can see how, you know, that just bringing those lines into it has really given it a lot more life. And then varying the darks and the lights, playing with different marks. So I could pick up a little white and I could bring some speckles through here. So just playing with the different marks. Not completely happy with her face, but then I don't want to get like hung up on it either. I just want her looking over her shoulder, which she is, and I will bring back her feet. You'll notice that they've gone, but I just wanted to get that pathway, just bring the light back into that pathway if I could. And so that's where we're at the moment. And it's definitely looking better than it was the last time I stopped the camera. What do you think? Time to get some more music going and just really get myself feeling loose and free, and hopefully finishing it off in this next session. Okay guys, I think that's me. I think I'm done. I think that I have learnt some things. I'm happy with the places that I was able to get free and spontaneous. I'm happy with the overall feeling. I still would have liked to have found a way to have left the white space at the beginning. And to be honest, if I was going to work further into this, I'd probably let it dry a little bit and then push the white a tiny bit more in some areas. But I'm also quite happy leaving it where it's at right now. And I think that there's a lot of balance. I think that we've got this, the feeling of the woman and the horse looking at each other. I'm not that fussed with her face, but as far as the kind of free and loose illustrative style that I was going for, I definitely have gotten somewhere with that. Of course, not all the way. It's not exactly how I would have wanted it to be, but I've learned something from this exercise, and I hope that you have too. And I would really love to see what approach you would take to this. So I will post the photo in this post, and I would love to see if anybody would like to share their interpretation of this photo in the VIP group on Facebook. That would be awesome. I would love it. You did see that I added in that extra hansa yellow light right towards the end to bring out these flowers here, a little bit of flower along there, and a few highlights in the horse's mane and in her coat as well. So I hope that was educational for you. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I hope you got a lot out of it. And I certainly did. And I am happy with where it's at, even though, as I said, it's not exactly what I was looking for. But every time I do something like this and I loosen up a little bit more and I let go of everything having to be, perfectly realistic, then, I take myself a step further towards where I want to be in my art practice. So, ciao for now.